Well, it's been years since we got introduced to the cousin of the Man of Steel himself, Superman, and that is Supergirl. She's pretty underrated, though. In 1984, she got a film, but it tanked big time at the box office in 1984. But then in the mid 2010s, she got a show on TV, and it did pretty well. And now this year, she's back on the big screen in the second installment of the first phase of the DCU from James Gunn, and it's now playing in theaters. But is it really as mixed as some of the critics say, or can I prove they're wrong, or worse, will this be yet another big disappointment for Warner Brothers? Find out in this spoiler-free review right now. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome again to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. I'm the Big D, and this time around, I bring to you a spoiler free review of the 2026 superhero flick, Supergirl, from DC Studios, released by Warner Brothers. Based on the titular character from DC Comics, directed by Craig Gillespie, and written by Anne Nogueira. It's the second film in the DC universe, starring Milly Alcock as the title character, who travels across the galaxy on a murderous quest for revenge. The film also has Matthias Schoenaerts, if I mispronounced that, I apologize, Eve Ridley, David Krumholtz, Emily Beecham, David Corenswet, who reprises his role as Superman, and James Momoa. Now then. Now, this film has gotten mixed reviews and what have you, but I am going to try and defend it as best as I can because I think they're wrong on some of this, but I will explain along the way. But now, of course, with all my spoiler-free reviews, I'm not giving the whole story, just a little bit of it. During the destruction of the planet Krypton, scientist Zor-El and his wife Allura evacuate along with many Kryptonians to Argo City, where Zor-El activates a force field system that separates a chunk containing the city from the planet, preventing it from being destroyed when its core explodes. 8 years later, Allura gives birth to her and Zor-El's daughter, Kara. Eventually, it is discovered that the separation of Argo City exposed a mineral known as kryptonite, which is slowly killing the citizens via radiation. After Allura succumbs to her illness, Zor-El decides to send Kara and their dog Crypto on a ship headed to Earth. Upon landing, they are greeted by Kara's cousin, Kal-El, alias Superman, and Clark Kent. Kara later tries to adjust to her new life on Earth while also adopting the moniker Supergirl. In the present, Supergirl travels with Krypto to several planets and parties in celebration of her 23rd birthday. Superman often calls her, concerned that she is constantly off world and unable to settle on Earth. During one of her stops, she encounters Ruthie Marinol, the last survivor of her family who were murdered by the brigand leader Krem of the Yellow Hills. Ruthie requests Supergirl's assistance in her quest for vengeance, but is denied. Krem hijacks Supergirl's ship alongside several brigands and shoots Krypto with a poisonous dart when he tries to stop them. Upon learning that Krypto has only 3 days left to live, Supergirl decides to in other words, pursue Krem to retrieve an antidote that he keeps in person. On person, sorry. While also reluctantly taking on Ruthie as her companion. Well, they soon just go through all sorts of places, and also going. Then soon they go to the planet Bilky, where the two learn from a couple named Bomar and Merrick that the brigands have been kidnapping young women to force them to be their brides. Well, Merrick attempts to drug Supergirl to trade her and Ruthie to the brigands in exchange for their daughter, Sarna, but Supergirl resists and fights the brigands and is assisted by the bounty hunter Lobo, who is targeting the brigands' Lieutenant Drum Baxton. Alright, now that's all the story I will give to you. If you want to know what happens then, please go see the movie. Now, for my thoughts on Supergirl, I am going to say this was decent and what have you. Sure, it didn't quite turn out to be the way I hoped for. It does have its flaws and what have you. But overall, I found it to be fine and what have you. Sure, it's not quite great, but at least you'll probably like it more than the original 1984 film with Helen Slater. Now, of course, this is the second part of the DCU's Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters after Superman last year. Well, apparently, I'm just going to say this film has been having some issues with its openings and what have you. Its predictions have been dropping like crazy and what have you. So they're thinking it could possibly go get close to 40 million, but I don't know. I really will say please try not to let this one be another big disappointment. Warner has not had no hit movie to reach over 100 million in months since Wuthering Heights was released earlier this year. But I'm really not trying to force you to. You be the judge. On the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes, it sits at 56%, which is way low from its predecessor. However, they say Milly Alcock brings a swagger to Kara Zor-El that made Krypton proud in this otherwise familiar origin story, donning a promising new hero in the DCU who's still waiting for an adventure that matches her vigor. Metacritic has a score of 49, while audiences polled by CinemaScore gave this a B minus. While 52% of those surveyed by PostTrack said they would definitely recommend the film. Of reasonably fair reviews and mixed reviews, The Hollywood Reporter said Gillespie barrels through a pedestrian mainframe narrative that's basically True Grit meets John Wick meets Mad Max Fury Road, with the usual random assortment of needle drops. Also knowing given Gillespie's history with films about spirited rule-breaking women, as he had recently done that already with films like I, Tonya and Cruella, the failure to find emotional depth in the sisterhood of Kara and Ruthie is notable. Yeah, I kind of do agree on that. That's kind of a little bit of an issue with this. Daylight Hollywood gave it mixed reviews, saying the special effects and relentlessly dark tone often get in the way of making this group rock despite the best efforts of Alcock, who is a bit too quirky, playing Zor-El as somewhat reckless, headstrong, and not always put together. That's true and what have you, but I still think she was good. I really don't want to get into bad stuff. In a decent positive review, IndieWire's Kate Erblin wrote, "What makes the film stand out is its interest in staying small while asking some very big questions indeed." Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian was, well, reasonable on it, calling it sprightly and sparkling superhero yarn, while also writing that the film isn't a perfect movie by any means, but said that there are moments when you'll believe this franchise can fly. David Fear of Rolling Stone was positive on this, knowing that it can go deep, and wrote, "This movie proves that you can take something that might seem esoteric or strictly for the heads and make mass entertainment out of it without selling out completely." Layla Latif of Empire was reasonable on this, while saying Milly Alcock's hungover hero is delightful, even if the film never truly cuts loose. Well, true. Now, I do appreciate for what it had to offer, though, but like I said, this film does have its flaws and what have you. Now, one thing is, we don't get to see too much of characters like Superman or even Crypto. See him a little bit, but as I've already told you, why into Crypto early on, but you'll have to see the movie how if he'll come back. The same with Lobo, but he appears off in some parts, but soon he gets more screen time a little later on. Another kind of an issue I have is we don't get to see Kara in her super suit until the last few minutes of this movie, which that's kind of a bit of a downside and what have you. But it's okay though. I still like this film, no matter what they say. The score was composed by Claudius Sarn, who did an absolutely really good job on this. Anyway, it was really something and what have you, and I really appreciate some of the tunage we get to hear in this. This was really something. Now, for the cast, we have Milly Alcock, who really shines as Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl. Now, I appreciate them showing a little, well, some of her origin story, which is fine, but some of it kind of drags a little, but not much, though. Both Gillespie and Gunn described her as being an anti hero. And Gunn envisioned Supergirl as a pixie ish, but very attitudinal character. That's understandable. Eve Ridley plays Ruthie. Now, sure, she can be a little bit of headstrong at times as well, but I liked her a little, maybe not a whole lot, but she did fine and what have you. David Krumholtz plays Zor-El. It was fine, I saw him. And Emily Beecham as Allura. Not too bad. Well, even though we only get to see some of him in some parts, Eric Corenswet reprises his role as Superman. Well, we don't see him too much, but at least we got to see him, though. Now, Jason Momoa, who formerly played Aquaman in the now defunct DCEU, well, played Lobo, and I must admit, he was really good. Some of the other cast members are fine, what have you. But apparently, one problem with the cast is Matthias Schoenaerts. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I apologize. As Krim of the Yellow Hills. Well, he's a little He's a bit underwhelming and what have you. He's okay and what have you, but I really don't think this was a great of an actual villain. What have you? I think they could have done better than that. Oh well. At least look on the bright side. At least they found something that maybe some would appreciate other than that sorceress character from the original. But of the whole, I found Supergirl to be fine as is. Sure, again, I've said it's about some of its flaws though, but that's just what I'm saying. If you got what it takes to see something super, then you need to see this film. Try not to let this blow and what have you, because you know what happened. What more recently happened with a film I've been really wish would have done good, Masters of the Universe. Just do what you can. I wish this film the best of luck. So far, it's already made 29 million worldwide, as it's on a budget of 170 to 186 million. So this needs some legs and pick up some steam and what have you. So I hope for the best this will do okay and what have you. I don't expect it to do great, but I hope it'll do okay. Even if it does, well, I won't. Now I won't feel bad if it gets me in my Toy Story 5, in which case it'll definitely will. So I don't care about that. Unlike how I was mad that scary movie Beyond Masters of the Universe, but that's another story. But anyway, I think Supergirl is just fine, what have you. You don't have to take my word for it. Again, you be the judge. Go see it. The film's playing in theaters. Most of its cast is pretty good. The story's fine, what have you. Some of the action's pretty good. Because, like, I failed to mention this in my Masters of the Universe review, which, it had sequences that kind of felt like, the Thor films, along with a little bit of Deadpool and Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, this film comes right up there, except it blends in Guardians of the Galaxy with True Grit and other films. Oh yeah, and Mad Max films, most notably Fury Road. So overall, it can be a hit or miss. Again, you be the judge. See Supergirl while you still can. Seriously. Well, okay, not seriously, okay? I'm just not trying to encourage you, but you be the judge. For my score, I'm giving Supergirl 4.5 stars. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 9. So what did you think of Supergirl? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Continue to help support my channel, and you know the rest. Please stand by. So join me next time when I review, in spoiler-free form, the recent horror film Forbidden Fruits. So if you like this, check out some of these other films that I've recently talked about. In the upper left-hand corner, you can check out my spoiler-free review of last year's hit of Superman. The upper right-hand corner is my re-review of the one that started all that became a sleeper hit for rival Marvel in Guardians of the Galaxy from 2014. Or just for fun, go to the bottom left-hand corner and check out my review of the original Supergirl from 1984, which we all know that wasn't that great of a movie much. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.